Alright guys, sorry again if throughout the video, I said durante. I was thinking durante in my head in Spanish anyway. Sorry if throughout the video that the camera might zoom in and focus and refocus. I haven't really figured out how to turn that off, but that's just because I'm using my phone camera. So anyway, I wanted to talk today about toughness, and I think it's just something that's been on my mind for a while. And I don't know the way it came about, the way I started thinking about it is like it started in my mission. I don't know. I just noticed so many changes in myself. The more that I wanted something badly, you know? What I wanted in the mission was to have the most success teaching people about Jesus Christ and seeing them change their lives, change their hearts. And I became so impassioned about it that I wanted to do anything in my power to be able to see it happen, be the most efficient at it. I wanted to have the ability that if it were up to me, that every single person would be able to hear the best message that they've ever heard about Jesus Christ. And again, I wanted to see their hearts change, right? So it's like, if I put myself on the other end of the spectrum, on their perspective, I can think that at some times it might be very, very confusing, hearing this message and knowing what to do about it. And so by kind of using psychological perspective, kind of putting myself in their shoes, I spent hours and hours and hours studying and practicing and thinking about how could I reach their heart, instead of just kind of tickling their intellect. As I think it's like a super common thing in Christianity. When we want to convert someone, we tell them everything we know. We try to impress them basically intellectually with how amazing the gospel is. And instead of doing that, I think it's more important that we focus on what's in their heart. And the more I did this, the more it kind of led me down this path, and I learned so many things, and I started accomplishing my goals. And one thing I realized is that as people kind of went through their own route, right? Some people accepted the message, some people didn't know what to do about it, or I don't know, some people made their own choice to not continue with the message, to not do anything about it, not be baptized. It made me realize that people will just do what they want to do. And that sounds like the most simple thing ever. And I couldn't believe I had never thought of it that way. I was like, well, if I'm telling you all these things and if they're true, then there's no way you can't you can't deny it, you can't whatever. But people will do what people want to do. And that's just it. And so the thing that's happening, I guess, in our as in my generation, since the onset of social media and the internet and everything becoming so I guess fabricated, everything's virtual and all these things, people are having an easier time doing what they want to do, and because we're doing everything that we want to do, we're neglecting what's the most important. And so obviously everyone has natural tendencies to enjoy certain things, to enjoy funny content, to enjoy whatever, music, and we're just spending so much time in this virtual world that we're forgetting about the real one. And I've been learning about that for the last year-ish. I've learned a lot about what is the real world, what world am I living in. And so it's so funny that with the scope of social media and the internet, we feel like we can see everything in the world, but really our phone is keeping us more to ourselves than we've ever been in the history of the world. I think people their lives have become so, I don't know if it's simplified, but more reduced to the point where it's leave your room, go to the kitchen, leave your room, go out to the car, and go to work, to school, come back. The amount of places you go to is super limited, and it's you don't actually see the real world. The only world you're seeing is a virtual one. And so we forget about the sacrifice, the struggle, basically the grind that our family for generations past have gone through to get us to this point. And because we've forgotten, it makes it so much easier to be kind of, I don't want to say maybe lied to is a little bit strong, but we're being misled maybe by our own intuition of what we would rather do. We're choosing to do things that kind of make us forget, like I said, forget the pains, forget the sorrow that come from life. But what we've seen is that the farther we go into this virtual space, our health problems that were used to be physical, as in like survival and all these things, are turning into mental problems. And it's because we're living inside of our heads more than we are outside of our body. And anyway, it's like this shift that I think it's like a pendulum, but the pendulum has swung far this way and it needs to come back. But the tough thing about life is finding that balance, right? So anyway, I'm just sharing this because I think it's important we think about what the earth and people on the earth have gone through, not even in the last 100 years, the last 200,000 years, but for millions of years now. Humans have lived on the earth, humans have gone through and the ice age, like the last ice age ended while there were humans on the earth, and then the earth is warming up. It's not even that hot yet, and it's like everything's changing, and humans have been adapting for millions of years. And now we're seeing this super widespread problem of people not living life, and like people not enjoying life. Life is not meant to be perfect by any means, but it should be in some sense enjoyable. At least we should find some sense of purpose and fulfillment in what we do. And I think everyone agrees on that as a general point, like a general concept of that. We should enjoy some aspects of life instead of enjoying nothing about life. I think the key is that we get out of our head, like what I've been saying about this virtual reality that we're living in. We need to get out. We need to get stronger, get more educated, and find out what we're missing. And anyway, this is like my nice way of saying it, I guess, that we need to get like kind of step away from all those things. Really, we need to stop being so self-centered. That's an issue that has created a lot of the situation that we're dealing with right now, is that everyone likes to think about themselves more than more than we've ever thought about ourselves before, if that makes sense. It's like we have so much time now, because so much work has been done to provide this life, this society we live in, that now that we don't have to wake up every morning to go farm and to go like plow and all these things, to go work, to go mine, it's like we have so much more time to ourselves that we can't help but think about what's going on in our own lives. But really, we're forgetting the idea that we've come here to this point together as a human race. We've lived in communities for a long time, and nothing should really change that. We should be thinking about the person next to us. What can we do to bring value to our community, whether it be our family, amongst our friends, and we're being taught to focus on things that don't bring value, when really we should be focusing. If you're a man, you should be focusing on how do I become as strong, as knowledgeable, as wise as possible to become a leader. As a woman, you should be learning how to become as compassionate as possible. I'm not saying that men can't be compassionate. I'm saying like women are more inclined to be socially intelligent, to be able to work with other people. We should be honing and refining these skills, being the best people that we can possibly be. And so I'm not going to pretend. So I've been talking about how we live in such a stable society. I do think that there is a lot to be sad about when it comes to the global situation. But I think as individuals living in a first world country, that our issues compared to what the rest of the world is dealing with is almost nothing. We don't really sacrifice much more than our time and maybe some sleep to do things for our survival. But when it comes to other places around the world, families being forced out of their homes, villages and cities being bombed, and terrorists and all these things, poverty, starvation, all these things, it just makes it so that I myself don't have a reason to complain about anything in life. Like everything in my life has been given to me as a blessing, and it's like I have no reason to do anything but thank God for it. The fact that to think that I should be sad about anything that's happening in my life is kind of ridiculous to me, and I don't want to be offensive to anyone else. That's why I'm using myself as an example. Like I don't really think anything in my life at this point is disadvantageous. I think I'm living on the cusp of like the greatest civilization that's ever been formed. So like because people have sacrificed for me, I am in a position that no one else has ever been in. In 2022, I'm on like the cutting edge of of advancement as a race, the human race. No human has ever been where I'm at right now, and that's the same for each and every one of us living in this position and where we're at. So that's my mentality, and I think even though I don't consider myself to be disadvantaged in any way, I do think that I'm lacking a lot of qualities that would make me like a prime candidate for survival, if that makes sense. And so sorry if I'm just like rambling, but if you're watching this because you want to hear my thoughts. So that's how it's gonna be. I'm just gonna ramble because there have been in the history of the earth there have been many mass extinction events that have killed life on the planet. And like I don't know by scientific estimate, but if I had to guess in my head, I would say every time that only 1% of the population survives. Like maybe 1 to 10% if I had to guess. And the only difference between surviving and not surviving, like obviously there's opportunity or no opportunity, but yeah, kind of like occasion of what's the I guess probability of events happening. It's like situation, I guess, that maybe you're in the right place at the right time or the wrong place at the wrong time. But there's also the factors of strength, of preparation, and like of endurance, all these things that it takes so much more than what I am right now to survive. Like I think if something were to happen right now and the whole world were to be plunged into this mass extinction event, I don't know if I would survive. I just haven't done enough preparation. I haven't become strong enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't have kids to because even if I die, I'd love to have like to leave kids behind that would still be here on the earth, because then that way you live through your children. And so that's my motivation right now for everything I'm doing is to become better, because I realize that it's kind of ungrateful and it's a disservice to every single person, not only in like the modern era, but people that my ancestors that have lived like if you think about it, you have had ancestors that have lived through every single major event on the earth since the beginning of time. There has been someone in your bloodline that has survived every single thing that's happened to the earth. And if it wasn't the case, you wouldn't be here right now. And so to think that I can just sit here and not do my best in life is just, it must be a slap in the face to them, the people that came before me. So I think I'm not trying to be direct to anyone, but like me, myself, I have no reason to not go hard and to give it everything I have. And this is probably to end it, because it might be getting too long. When it comes to giving 110%, which is something I think everyone needs to apply in their life if they want to like see improvement and stuff. When it comes to giving 110%, I've thought about it a lot, and I've thought about what does it mean to give 110%. And I think like it's an old principle, I guess, of just hard work is what fixes everything. And it's kind of been adjusted and modified, and it's like to a certain extent it's important that you give consideration to rest and to periodization, I guess, of like not expending yourself and like living to fight another day. But I think at some point we've kind of convinced ourselves it's okay to not work, that you don't have to work all the time, when really if we were objective about it, not considering our emotions, we've removed ourselves from the situation. We would look at ourselves, at the human race right now in its condition, and we would like unanimously agree that a lot needs to be done, that we are not strong, we are not as strong as we can be. And the only difference is that we need, that can be made, is that we need to work harder. I think if you break it down, I think the 100% is like an accumulative average of everything it takes to make it as a human to survive. I think first there's the effort you give, but I think there's also the time you take, there's the preparation you take, which is also included in time. There's a bunch of other things that kind of, those accumulative averages come out with the score of like how hard are you going out of 100%. And so obviously if you use 100% of your effort, and you waste it, like let's say you're digging a hole and you waste all your effort in 1 hour, the hole's not going to be dug, and you're also not going to have energy to do it and finish the job before the day is done. So it's like not only is the effort necessary, but you need to take the time and you need to spread out your effort across a certain time period to get it done more efficiently. You need to practice by just digging more often, and you need to do it in a way that you conserve the maximum amount of energy as possible while you're trying to also be efficient at digging the hole. So it's just kind of dance in and out of like of these like a numbers game. Like how efficient can I be while giving the max effort? And so if that makes sense, like when you're looking at all your goals and how you're going to accomplish them, you need to decide and find a balance between how much time am I giving, how much preparation do I need, and how hard can I go every day, every hour. And if you find that balance is when you should see the most amount of growth if you calculate it correctly. And the problem is that we're so imperfect, we don't know how to calculate it. And that's why I think it's important to give 110%. And the extra 10%, I just think comes from endurance or like willpower. If you give a little bit more than you think you can, you're always going to find that you have more to give and that your brain just has mental blocks in place to stop you from going too hard. Your body's in a self-preservation mode at all times. And so the more you push yourself into that discomfort zone, if you just go 10% more than you think you can and you consistently do that every single day, you'll find that your capacity to work will increase over time. And that's just the idea of getting stronger. It's like the funny thing to me is that we're so willing to accept this in the concept of getting stronger in the gym, but we don't want to think about how that applies to other aspects of our life. Like everyone, it's like there's such a normalized standard of how life is. We all accept certain things, certain norms and standards, but it's hard for us to think outside of the box and apply it to other parts of life. So if going the extra 10% in the gym will make me stronger, why can't I do that in every aspect? So that's what I think I'm going to end on, is how we can build toughness is just going the extra 10%. And the key principle is that you don't do it just because you feel like it or because you want to. There's going to be days where you don't feel like it, but sometimes, and not only sometimes, all the time, things just have to be done. There's some things that just need to be done regardless of how you're feeling, of how conditions are. You just need to do it. And so if you learn to follow that 10% rule, just do everything you can and then do it for 10% longer or do it 10% harder, prepare 10% more, whatever that 10% is that you need to find, dig into it and you'll find success. So that's going to be it for me, and I hope someone finds this. I hope this is inspiring to you, but if not, it's okay. It's just something that helps me pass the time. So have a good one.